Hello ladies and gentlemen, this Saturday, March 26th, we have yet another great MMA event, but this time we are not talking about the UFC event, this time we are talking about 1X Championship. There is plenty of amazing fights. For example, Adriano Moraes is for fighting Yuya Wakamatsu for a flyweight championship. Adriano Moraes recently KO'd DJ Mighty Mouse. But there is also Angela Lee is fighting. But there is one fight that is catching my attention, and this first crossfight history in the MMA. And what crossfight? It means that you have 2 rounds for a specific rule set and 2 rounds with another specific rule set. Something like this never happened in the MMA before, at least on a high level fighters. We are talking about 2 biggest names in the sport. They are gonna clash. First of all, let's introduce the first guy, and the obvious fan favorite, DJ Demetrius Johnson, Mighty Mouse, one of the most prolific martial art artists in the world and in the history of the MMA. The streak he went to when he was fighting in the UFC, the names he defeated, and with the class and the style, it was just amazing. Everyone who saw DJ should have been a big fan way before he left the UFC. For whatever reason, he couldn't grasp the attention of the fans. Maybe, I don't know, I have no clue why, because he was just entertaining to watch. Like, he was one of those guys who managed to submit someone mid-flight. When he basically made a takedown on a guy and then put an arm bar while he was mid-air on him. Can you grasp the athleticism, the technique, and just the sheer IQ of someone who can do that? We can make plenty of arguments that the DJ is one of the best MMA fighters of all time. There is no fighter that he just belongs on the top echelon of the fighters. He had some successes in the ONE FC when they traded him in a package for Ben Askren. I mean, it played out great for the UFC because, you know, Ben Askren was one of the main guys that Jorge Masvidal can thank for reviving his career. But Mighty Mouse was, you know, struck some gold in ONE FC, defeated some strong guys, had a loss with a different rule 7. He got hit by the knee by Moraes when he was on the ground, because that's something that knees on the ground are not allowed in the UFC, but it's allowed in the ONE FC. But now we are getting into a very interesting fight. As I said, it was a crossfight. On one side we have DJ, who is obviously martial artist, and on the other side we have Rodtang. Who is Rodtang? For casual fans or who people don't know, Rodtang is one of the biggest names in the Muay Thai, in the Thai boxing. And just how crazy this guy is, you have to just listen to his record. I mean, it's just mind-boggling. It's absolutely wild. This guy started fighting professionally in the matches at the age of 10. 10, okay? 10. When we were just running around playgrounds and just, you know, like just stealing each other's toys, this guy was kicking other kids' asses, okay? And then now just listen to this number. By the time he was 21, he won more than 250 matches. Let that sink in your mind. 250. Not head matches, but won matches. 250. That's 250. That's absolutely insane. That's more than several fighters can amass in their entire careers. And you can say like, oh, but in Thailand they fight all the time. It doesn't matter. 250 wins by the age of 21 is absolutely insane. It doesn't matter if you fight the very next day or if you fight the taxi drivers. It's 250 wins. And among of those 200, okay, you can say like, hey, but he fought a lot of nobodies, right? But out of those 250 wins, there must be some very good names and very good strikers or killers. It doesn't matter. And he also won 2 podiums, which is basically, in a very short explanation, some sort of a Muay Thai championship, like the highest honor in Muay Thai. Rodtang is on a level of Muay Thai stardom as Buakav, Saenchai, or even Ramon Dekkers. He is entertaining to watch. He is amazing. He's KO artist. He's just insane. Just like, think about the number, 250 wins, 2 podium wins, one flyweight championship belt in one FC, and now he's gonna fight Demetrius Johnson in this crossfight. The rules are this way. Round 1 and 3 are Muay Thai rules or striking rules. There is no grappling, there is no wrestling. So basically, you can see that the rounds 1 and 3 are clearly in favor of Rodtang. And then rounds 2 and 4 are in a MMA rule set. Therefore, favoring more Demetrius Johnson because he can grapple then or wrestle or whatever, or even submit Rodtang. And this is one of the first fights ever that we can see 2 high-level guys just combining in this weird mixed set of the rules. There has been a lot of guys transitioning to other sports, but they did it slowly. For example, Israel Adesanya, he was a professional kickboxer, but he transitioned to the MMA very slowly. He made sure that he works on his takedown defense, on his jiu-jitsu skills, on his grappling, because he didn't want to get submitted or just demolished early, like we've seen, with some other guys that transitioned to the MMA and it's just terrible time, or MMA fighters who transition into boxing / striking. You cannot just do such a transition in a short time. You really need to prepare. And that's how it used to be. But now we've seen actual crossfight, like we don't give 2 fighters time to transition and find under very specific rule set, like when Conor McGregor fought Mayweather, it was like pure boxing. But now we have basically just a mixed rule set. And this is very interesting. I'm very split on this because people always say like, oh my God, I want to see Kamaru Usman versus Canelo Alvarez. I want to see Conor McGregor versus Floyd Mayweather. I want to see that. It's like, why cannot we agree that you can be great within your own sport? Why cannot we agree that it's enough that you are amazing in one sport and that you are dominating there? I understand it's, at the end of the day, it's sort of fighting, but it's still a different sport. MMA is different sport from boxing. Boxing is different from kickboxing. Kickboxing is different from Muay Thai. They're all different sports. Why cannot we agree that you can be a dominating champion within one sport? I understand it raises a lot of questions, a lot of drama. There's a lot of things to talk about. When someone says like, hey, I want to box Canelo. Hey, I want to box Floyd Mayweather. Or like, hey, I want to fight this guy or that guy. I understand it raises a lot of questions, a lot of things to talk about. But those things usually are not fair, especially if one person has to transition to the other sport. But now we don't have the transition. Now we have mixed rule set. Basically, one guy has advantage for 2 rounds and the other guy has advantage for 2 rounds. You can say that Rodtang had basically a huge advantage because in the first round he can just knock out DJ and that's the end of the match. But when it was the other way around and DJ can basically submit Rodtang in the first round, which might inevitably happen if DJ survives the first round, because like the level of wrestling and jiu-jitsu, you cannot just pick up those skills in a matter of half a year or a couple months. Rodtang didn't have a lot of time to prepare. Like this fight was just in making only for about 1 year because it was already postponed from the December of 2021. So for sure, if the fight gets to the second round, Demetrius Johnson should literally just only look for the takedown and for the submission. He should only look for that. And we've seen that he's really good. For example, he submitted Yuya Wakamatsu, who is now fighting for a title. So he submitted many solid guys. And I think that the DJ can submit Rodtang, has to submit Rodtang. However, Rodtang is a ball. He is a killer. Can DJ survive for 5 minutes in the round 1 with him? That is the biggest question in this crossfight. Because I think this fight is not going further than the round 2. It should not. I think the DJ's legacy will not be hurt if he loses in the first round, but for sure could be hurt if he cannot finish someone like Rodtang who doesn't have almost any grappling experience. I think this should be a clear win for DJ. He just needs to survive the first round. However, Rodtang is a fucking killer. He is a ball. He's a KO artist. One of his signature moves is basically just going into the middle of the ring and just tell the opposite fighter, like, come here, just come here, let's fight. Someone with that mentality. And he's still only 24 years old. Okay? He has over 250 wins. Insane experience. Insane CV of fights. And he's still 24 years old. He still hasn't reached the full physique. He just still hasn't reached his peak yet. Dimitrius, on the other hand, is 35 years old. So this fight, even though it raises a lot of questions, it's a fight that I'm totally not gonna miss because I just want to see, like, this is gonna be crazy. Like, just think about it. It's the first crossfight ever with two fighters that are one of the best to ever do it in their corresponding sports. If this fight can go by any chance to decision through 4 rounds somehow, it might prove that this crossfight rule set can be implemented, and then it can open the doors to a lot of different fights. So, can Rodtang defend Demetrius Johnson's takedowns and submissions, and can DJ survive the striking exchange in the first round? That is literally the biggest question. If it somehow gets into the round 3 or 4, I would be surprised. Because these guys are the best at what they do, and they should never, even out of respect, should never get it past their corresponding round. However, I think the rule set a little bit favors DJ. I know that 5 minutes is enough time to basically impose your will if you are Muay Thai champion and Muay Thai killer on someone, but 5 minutes is much longer time if someone gets a takedown and is on top of you. This fight, I'm just so flabbergasted about this fight. It's gonna be crazy, it's gonna be good, and it's gonna be amazing. You guys should not miss this fight, or at least watch the highlights, because I believe this fight is gonna end either in a stoppage in the first round or by submission in the second round. By the way, the whole ONE FC event this Saturday has insane amount of high-level fights. I'm not going to go through them because we'll have to spend hours of describing them. So the whole event is going to be great. By the way, the event is split into 3 parts. We have like the main part and part 1 and part 2. And part 1 and part 2 are free to watch. It will be live stream on a YouTube page of ONE, which I will link it down in the description below. And then the main card with the Demetrius Johnson, Rodtang, Angela Lee, Moraes will be a pay-per-view. But despite that, those first 2 parts are still some high-level fights. Worth to see it, especially if it's for free in the afternoon. What do you have to lose? So guys, you tell me, who do you think can win? Can Rodtang KO DJ in the round 1? Or can DJ survive and finish Rodtang in the second round? Or can this fight go past 2 rounds and can we get some weird decision and full amazing fight full of complications? Tell me. Let me know in the comments below, and I will see you next one.